According to Google, trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. In Elie Wiesel's memoir Night, he describes the trauma he faces in World War II. Likewise, in Slaughterhouse-Five, Kurt Vonnegut explains his struggles in war and life in general through fictional character Billy Pilgrim. In their separate battles, both Elie Wiesel and Billy Pilgrim are both prisoners of war, yet their outlooks on life and the effects war have on them are different, which demonstrates how war can be traumatic. In World War II, Elie and Billy experience similarities while being prisoners of war. The haunting images he sees resonate with him, and he realizes he will never forget what happened to him once the war is over. Elie describes some traumatic events by saying, "At night we slept almost naked and the temperature was 30 below. We were collecting corpses by the hundreds every day. Work was very hard." Wiesel 70. Elie is forced to participate in dehumanizing tasks every day. Living in a climate that is 30 below and having work that is very hard causes a feeling of happiness to be impossible. Also, not knowing when you are going to finally be set free can be frustrating and agonizing. Vonnegut dealt with similar unacceptable treatment by sharing Billy's involvement in the war. He says, "Billy and the rest were encouraged to shuffle around their dinky train and into the prison camp. There wasn't anything warm or lively to attract them." Vonnegut 82. Though Elie and Billy work in different locations, each is ordered to continue working in dreadful conditions. In Billy's case, there wasn't anything warm or lively. The deficiency of liveliness in the tramcar exemplifies the hardships the prisoners face in World War II. By being prisoners of war, Elie and Billy experience many catastrophic events that make war traumatic. Despite their similarities, Elie and Billy have different outlooks on life. Elie is taken captive by the Nazis during World War II and is told to work long hours and must conduct forced labor in order to stay alive. Even though Elie is being pushed against his will for being a Jew, he will never lose the will to survive. Elie says, "The idea of dying, of ceasing to be, began to fascinate me. My father's presence was the only thing that stopped me." Wiesel 86. Elie's father is the person who was giving him hope and the strength to fight through his pain and against his enemies. However, Billy was taken into the woods to fight against the Germans while continuously being yelled at by Weary. Vonnegut writes, "Billy wouldn't do anything to save himself. Billy wanted to quit." Vonnegut 94. Elie has a will to survive because of his father's presence. On the other hand, Billy had no will to live and not a single drop of determination to save himself. The trauma Elie experiences in the concentration camp made him cling to his father by making him want to continue to fight. The fact that Billy already knows his fate and outcome due to the Trau-Flammendor's outlook on life makes Billy unfazed by trauma. Therefore, both Billy and Elie have different outlooks on life due to the trauma they face in war. Both Elie and Billy's views on life are different, making the impact of war affect them differently. Elie slowly becomes numb and comes out of the camp as a different person due to the distressing events he was unable to overcome. He narrates, "From the depths of the mirror, a corpse was contemplating me. The look in his eyes as he gazed at me has never left me." Wiesel 115. Elie sees himself as a corpse and feels lesser than a human being. As a result of seeing many disturbing images he saw in the war, Elie will never be able to go back to be the person he once was. However, when Billy sees himself in war, he is affected differently than Elie. Horses in poor condition trigger his PTSD, making him realize that the conditions of war are devastating. When Billy saw the condition of his means of transportation, he burst into tears. He hadn't cried about anything else in war. Vonnegut 197. Billy burst into tears when seeing animals in horrible conditions, making him realize how bad the conditions are in war. Billy's reaction exemplifies how he is affected by war and that the traumatic events he and Elie witnessed leave them mentally traumatized. Elie and Billy's contrasting outlooks on life and the effect war has on them causes their traumatic experiences to be different. Despite being prisoners of war, their reactions and feelings toward the trauma they face makes them who they are. The similar distressing and disturbing experiences that occur while being held captive in World War II helped Elie and Billy to grow stronger as people in similar ways in spite of them being in two completely separate battles. Whether it comes to how they were abducted, their view on life, or even the effects of war, Elie and Billy's trauma they face in war define who they are as people.